So far we have added a fragment in a view pager, and we have also added a fragment in an activity. Uh, in activity, we have even tested in two ways. One is having a placeholder layout such as frame layout. Using the fragment transaction, we have added a fragment. Another one is defining the fragment directly inside a layout file. I mean XML. Like this, we have various ways. Anyway, our exploration on fragment is going to continue. Maybe the next exercise, I'm going to see if I can modify the view, I mean the look and feel, for a portrait and landscape differently. So that probably will give you more idea about what way the fragmentation is going to be helpful for you. But as of now, we have been working on an app called SMSReplier. In fact, we have completed SMSReplier 1.2. The next version is we are going to put back our broadcast receiver, which detects the incoming SMS. So the selected message, what you have, selected in the list view, and would be sent back as a reply. So that was our intention. But for that, I need to have one more uh, persistent part, because right now the data is being displayed here in a list view. This is through SQLite, whereas the choice which message has got selected, that has to be saved. We are not saving it yet. And there should be an option to completely turn off this feature also, that probably we will also see. So typically a preference manager or shared preference, what we have been talking, primarily used for your preference choices. For example, in this case, my auto reply message choice is vacation, mean anyone send SMS will receive a message stating like whatever message I have composed here, on vacation I'll call you later. That's the message it will be sent as a automatic reply. So which message is my choice to send as an auto reply? So that choice going to be maintained, or that going to be saved in the shared preference. So anything, a choice or options you want to save, I would advise you to use the preferences, I mean shared preferences or preference manager, whatever. Anything where you want to display a list of item which is important to be to handle your further navigation, you can use SQLite. So it's up to you. Of course, SQLite also can be used if you define one more table where you can save the choice, and you can make use of SQLite also to store your preferences. Of course, you can make it, but it is highly unnecessary. So I'm going to incorporate preferences, and also I'm going to attach the broadcast receiver, which we have few exercises back we saw how to interfere, that how to detect the incoming SMS. So once we are done, this particular app is completed, and then we'll move ahead and see some other left out in fragmentation. And after that, I'm going to introduce a web service, which is something how to have a remote handling of a particular data, how to handle the remote data. So data is coming through a server, how to display it here, and how to send the data back to server, how to handle the HTTP request and response. Those things going to come. And of course, we'll still incorporate various UIs along with the different hands-on exercise what you are going to select. So few more thing, maybe our experiments on action bar would continue, because there are various things you can customize on the action bar, and we'll see any other views being left out, that will also we'll cover. And since we are going to talk on the background services, because the web service or something which is something would going to take a longer time, so we are going to see how to effectively put them into background process and handle the callbacks. And of course, with the help of broadcast receiver, we'll handle the internet availability, or for example whether the internet is active or not. Those things we will also verify. So of course this combination is going to continue. An activity broadcast receiver service, the combination is going to continue, but with the different exercise we will start. Maybe I'd like to wind up this SMSReplier part today itself. I hope your exercises are going on. Is it still pending or anything, or how it is going on? The last one completed? Okay. Anyway, a small part I'm going to add along with this, because the broadcast is here, which you already seen. I'm just going to incorporate here and going to call a database stuff. So that's what I'm going to do now. Then I'll leave you and you can continue your exercises. Tomorrow we'll start a new exercise. Possible fragmentation, I have one small part left out, the master detail flow. Of course, handling landscape portrait and a different view. So that one simple example I'll cover tomorrow. Then we can move on to web services, asynchronous task, background process, threading, those things we'll move on. But UI specific, we have progressed very further. We've been dealing on the UI side quite long. Hope you are also continue your exercise, and maybe few days we will have this kind of scenarios continuing, and then we will have a full-fledged app development. You will be given a requirement specification, and you need to gather the requirement and plan your UI, wireframing, discuss, and then have the entire app built based on the whatever exercise we have written. So you can work as a group or whatever way, but this time it's going to be as a within your team you can discuss and build. Code logic not necessary to be the same, so you can have your own code logic. I'm going to review it and I'll also give you an input once you are done with that. And we have 2 or 3 exercises like that, so it is all like your project. So virtually you will be given a project, and how you are handling, how you are maintaining, and how you are keeping up your time, how you are planning, everything I'm going to watch. Okay, let us complete this part. I haven't given the name on point 2. I'm simply overriding the existing code, but I would wish you create a new project every time so that you do not mess up the existing code. First, let me have this. First thing, I need to save the selection. So this part first I need to write. If you want your utility class to be used again, you can use it, but I don't want to waste my time. My database, I'll use the same class to save my preferences as well, because a couple of static method I'm going to write, so it is not going to disturb the existing objects or any other methodology what we have defined here. I'm just creating a couple of keys so that I can save them into preference. I'm going to save the database, the primary key, the message ID, to a preference manager or preference shared preference, so that when a broadcast receiver becomes active, it will retrieve the selected message ID and query the database, bring the message and send it as a reply. This would require a default one because it's a preference. Default message ID, I'm going to keep it as -1 because I always keep this kind of strategy. If nothing is selected, you want to tell in that way. So if for -1 detected, the particular service is turned off. It's not necessary to reply for that purpose. So 2 keys I've introduced. You're going to need a couple of static methods. Okay, selected message I'll keep. Need a context. Just going to set, so we need edit, so I'm going to make it as an editor. This will make sure the particular message ID is saved. We will need one more. I say message ID, it will be more appropriate. Chat reference instance, we don't need edit this time because we're going to read it. The default one, -1. If -1 comes, it don't need to, can be considered as off. So like that. So 2 messages I have. I mean 2 functions I have declared here. 2 are static functions, so I can directly call the class name and call these functions. So it could be anywhere. I felt instead of creating one more class, I better define here itself. Okay. Going back to SMS list fragment. Do we have any on-click listener here? No. On item click listener, I'm implementing for my list view. Okay. On item click listener, setting to this. So whenever a list item is getting clicked, we'll be getting an instance here. I'm particularly interested on ID because this time ID is going to return the particular primary key, the message ID of your list. For example, whatever message you have entered. So I'm going to save him. Message db set selected message ID. The context let be get activity and ID. So this will make sure a particular ID is selected. And also I need to make sure if the ID is selected should be persisted. The list, of course, now for example in this case I have selected this one. When I hit back, again open, I lost the selection. So I need to restore that as well. I can do that, I hope here itself, because this is where the list view is getting initialized and choice mode also being defined here. If it is not equal to default message ID, I hope this should be done only after list is populated. We have already have a update list view. So this is where the list is getting populated. It will be better to have that defined here. So if a selected message ID is default and we cannot have the item selected. Let me see. So set, I'm looking for two arguments which could hold. I hope somewhere I wrote it, something I forgot. Set item checked. Yeah. Oh, it accepts only position. This is going to be a terrible one. ID and position would be different. ID is a database specific primary key. So it may have any numbers starting from 1, whereas the position depends on the view hierarchy. So it will always start from 0 and go on. But I need to find a position of a specific message ID. So I don't have choice. I may have to write one more method in order to find it. Let me do that as well. Get message position by ID, something like that we can write. I need to query everything in order to find it. So I better write there itself. because position depends on the list view. Time being 0. We already have a DB connection open here, so a for loop. I have no choice. I need to go through item to find a position. If cursor get long, return otherwise. Move to next. This is the dead code, so anyway it is not going to return anything. So the logic applies here. I'm querying all messages and iterate through it and finding the specific message ID coming matches with the existing message ID, and that particular position I am returning in order to have my item checked. This will continue until you find matching message ID. If it matches, it will return the I value and stop the for loop there itself. So I'll make sure the cursor is closed before, and then it will keep moving. If it doesn't find anything, it will close the cursor and return -1. I mean, no choices. This won't happen, but anyway, for safer side, I've written. Slightly roundabout way I have written the methods and calling the arguments. The set item checked require a position. So from the preference which I am getting the selected message ID, I am converting into a position and setting it true, mean the particular choice would be selected. In order to avoid various variable, I have called everything inside the argument itself. So if you do not understand, you can break it up and have it according to your understanding. Okay, so this being done, so this will restore. So whenever someone clicks on a item, it will be kept, and when every time it is iterated, checked, and the position will be changed accordingly. Let me check how it works. I'm keeping the second item checked. I'm closing my app, opening it. My choice remains persisted. So now the choice will always be maintained. Right now the position is selected when I am composing a message. No problem happens. Okay, and since it is selected, I should not allow it to delete it, because a particular message ID has got selected. If I allow it for deletion, the particular message ID will still be there in the preference, and whenever incoming SMS comes, it will try to retrieve the particular ID, and finally it won't find the message. So we have to give a different choice here. Instead of delete, I'm going to put a uncheck here, so that the particular choice would be unchecked, and then the user can go ahead and delete it. For these things, I'm not going to modify them. This will have the same. So how to do that? Let me see. This is a context menu. Okay. We try that. This will be created the moment the list view is populating. I want to modify in such a way. First thing, I put one condition. You can say So this will make sure the selected message cannot be deleted. Of course it can be modified, but we are not allowing it to delete. Not sure whether the code updated. So the selected message cannot be deleted. Move the selection to other message to delete. So for example, if I move it here, now if I try to delete it, it will delete it. So always we are not allowing the user, whichever the message is selected, cannot be deleted, because that would be dependable on the broadcast receiver. At least we have made it up to this. We'll add one more, maybe a menu, option menu, something to uncheck all. So that will make sure everything is unchecked. I can add that as well. And create option menu. So we'll make sure the selected item is unchecked. Set to false. It will retrieve the item ID, and that particular item ID would be unselected. Itself is not displaying. Okay. I hope it is not detecting inside the fragment. So I need to move this choice inside activity. I really don't find any reason. Maybe option menu, it is activity specific. For that it is not accepting. Which option is selected is already there, so that's the reason. Okay. It's actually a setter method. So if item is 1000, okay. Okay, now it should appear. Okay, now the menu appears. So disable auto reply will make sure the item is unchecked. So a choice is made, and because it's a radio button type, so clicking again won't disable it. So we are giving one option. Disable auto reply will make sure that a particular SMSReplier itself is turned off, so it won't reply back. But I need to see whether it is persisted or not. No, it's not persisted. Let me clear the imports. When you disable it, make sure your choice set selected message ID turn to default message ID. Disable, it remains disabled. Okay, so now I have also persisted my choice, the selection also. Now I can simply go ahead and create the broadcast receiver and finish the task. There are various ways to attach a broadcast receiver. Either define it inside a service as a local inner class, otherwise have an independent class registered through the manifest. So whatever way you feel comfortable, we can do it. If you want to avoid a service, because I do not see any requirement of a background service, because the broadcast receiver itself can handle the whole task. It can query the database and you can pick the selected message and send it off. So I'm trying to create a broadcast receiver. Last time same name we gave, I remember. So a broadcast receiver I mean, any broadcast receiver you are writing should inherit everything from a broadcast receiver class, and it has one abstract method. That abstract method is very important on receive. Before having this broadcast receiver working, you have to make sure the sufficient permissions we get. Those permission, of course, you are going to capture an incoming SMS, you are going to read it, you are going to reply it. So of course various permission it requires. I would recommend keeping the permission just above the application. Uses permission. Is there anything specific to SMS if you find? Okay, so reading SMS needed. Receive also needed. Reading is only just reading, but if you want to first you need to receive it in order to read it, so of course two permissions are needed. And you're going to send a SMS back, so send SMS permission also. Yes, send SMS. These three permissions very important. On the install screen, this information would be shown to the user. So when you create a APK, you can, I have already told you how to create APK and install. You will see this kind of permission disclosure will be coming just before installing your application. And I need to have a broadcast receiver also defined. I don't prefer this. We need to define intent filter and the action associated. I need to find something specific to SMS. Is that SMS received? This is going to detect the incoming SMS. So this particular action alone, it is going to listen. An intent filter for a broadcast receiver gives a filtering option. For example, the broadcast receiver listens one particular action. So in this case, it is going to listen an action associated with the SMS receiving. You can have more than one intent filter defined for a broadcast receiver, whatever you are writing, but I do not see any requirement of having more than one apart from SMS for this application, so I'm just leaving it here itself. First, check the incoming bundle. You have a instance of intent coming, so get extras will give you a bundle. Few think it is a good practice if bundle of course I need to this will avoid if any error comes. So okay, now the PDU stuff, the portable object descriptions, PDUs. It's an array type. and typecast it. So the incoming object is of type portable description units. It's of type array of object, kind of array. I already told you why it is an array, because if your message is more than 160 character and above, the message would be split into various units. So you'll have a array iterated over inside your broadcast receiver. So depending on the incoming message, the size will vary. Now build your SMS. Pick the right import. SMS, message, telephony. Android or telephony itself more than enough. The other two imports were already deprecated. You can see that the mark is deprecated. Oh, sorry, SMS message I need, which I am trying to rebuild my SMS message. Using the SMS manager, create. Create from PDUs, and the instance of PDU, it needs a byte type, so typecast it. So now your SMS message has been rebuilt. Few things I need. First, I need a incoming SMS number so that I can reply it back. Chances are that twice it may reply, so I want to avoid that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep few string. Okay. I'm particularly not interested on the incoming message. If you need it, get display message body, you can make use of it, but I don't need it at this point because I'm only interested on the incoming SMS number. So whenever an SMS is received, this on receive block will receive a bundle. In that bundle, there will be an object type called portable description units. It may be of array type, object of array, array of object, and I'm iterating it over. Most of the time this loop will run only once, but if your message is the sender of the message has sent a longer message which is going beyond 160 character, this will be repeated. But all I need is the incoming number. Once it is populated, that is more than enough for me. Okay, now this is done. I'll define one more method here. Some method. I'm getting get message by ID. This message DB. This will give me a cursor of a selected message alone, because the selected message has been saved, message ID has been saved in the preference. Move to first. Closing the TV cursor, everything, then finally return. So a message would be returned. This should happen only if a default message ID mean it is disabled state. Okay, I'll put this condition over there instead of here. Reply message will be retrieved. Now time to send the reply back. SMS manager needed to, am I calling the right imports? Right. Default settings for sending the SMS. Send text message. The destination address is nothing but the incoming number, service segregation number I'm not sure. The text is going to be the reply text. This one I'm going to keep null, null. So the selected message, whatever you have selected in your app, for example in this case I'm on a business meeting. I made this as a selected one. So anyone send a message or email, message, he'll be replying call me later, reply automatically. If I shift this one, of course depending on the choice whatever I have composed, the particular person will receive the reply. So this will only work if some message is being selected. If no message has been selected, for example if the user had disabled it, this particular block simply receive it but won't reply anything, because we have set a condition here. Okay, I have only one emulator running, so I cannot test it. I'll have to depend on my device to test this. Anyway, first let me run this. If I don't get any errors, then I'll test it on my device. Do not have any errors. I'll put a log statement for verifying whether the message output is going or not. So if I see this block in a log, I'm going to assume everything works fine. Driving now. Emulator control. I hope everything works. Okay, I'm getting it. So it's not the bottom. I'm driving now. I'll call you later. The message sent to the incoming number, some whatever I type. So let me move the choice to something else. On business meeting. Same thing. You can push one more time. Does it print or not? It's not printing here, but I'm assuming it is working. Second message also received. This guy alone is sending. It's like using of course I'll test it on the device. Before, let me check what I have done. List a fragment. So whenever an item is on item click listener, it will make sure the particular ID is saved. Okay, looks fine. Okay, let me connect my device. Test. Why this thing is asking? Okay, I have my application installed. Let me compose a message. 2 or 3 messages I will compose. I have 2 messages composed. This to the emulator. So I have these 2 messages. It's my real phone. Test. I'm going to send a message to from my other phone. Just sent a message. Now I'm seeing the reply is sent. Of course, I've received it. I'm driving now, so that reply is sent back to my message. I'm going to choose another message. I've selected meeting now. Okay, so the second message also replied with a different message. I'm a meeting right now. I also got a message. If you want to test, you can send to my number 98433533755. I don't think it is visible here. You can send a message to this number. You will get a auto reply. So let me also I'm trying to delete it and it doesn't allow me to delete because the particular message has got selected. So this particular SMS replier application is allowing you to compose a predefined reply messages, and when you have a particular message is selected, anyone who tried to send you an SMS would receive a selected auto reply message to their number. So very small utility application, but by doing this application we also understood how the fragments work, how the view pager work, and what are all the ways we can implement a fragment, and what way a preference is going to be useful, and what way a SQLite is going to be useful. And of course we have also seen an example on SMS, a broadcast receiver, how it works. So though the application is smaller, but most of the exercises we have done in the application is quite critical one. It's very important one. So these are all the specific topics you can understand when you put them into work. So we have seen broadcast receiver, fragments, SQLite, preferences, everything put together. Of course, only one is missing, service. I'll try to find if there are any other logic I can implement with the service. So I'll have them attached to this application as well. So that's it. This is the addition I wanted to add. Make sure this application is defined in SMSReplier 1.3. Hopefully we will stop it here itself, the SMSReplier part. Tomorrow we will find some other example and we will build another application for our further understanding on fragments, service, broadcast receiver, of course the activity. I may be covering on content providers so that I can make my database a shared one, and also the way to query already existing shared databases such as phone book or your images or any other information which could be shared. So those things also we are going to see. So those are maybe small snippets, or maybe I can integrate with the existing application and have them done. I'll push the source code to website. Make sure you guys complete all the exercises today itself. Tomorrow going to be a new exercise, so every pending, make sure if you guys finish today itself.